Good evening. First I want to thank Jenny and everyone who put this on. I want to thank everyone who's here in attendance, and I want to especially thank everybody up here who's willing to put themselves out there to be subjected to the scrutiny that is public office. I'm new to that game, and so I commend everyone for their participation in service. My name is LaPolice. I'm a fifth-generation native of north central Kansas. I grew up in Clifton and Clyde on a dairy farm. I graduated from high school. I joined the infantry. I was in the Army. In the infantry, I served in the first Gulf War. I was in the largest tank battle in American history. I'm very proud of my service. When I came back, I did a couple of different vocations, but ultimately I was drawn to education. When I identify myself as an educator. I taught for many years, I was a principal for several years, and I was a superintendent. Most recently, I worked at the community college, Cloud County Community College. My opponent is not here. My opponent is Dr. Roger Marshall, a fine individual, but Dr. Roger Marshall doesn't understand what's wrong with Washington, and that is part of it. Washington is broken because the political class do not listen to you. They don't. I'm told that he's in Washington, D.C., meeting with other incoming Congress members. What I want to do is I want to take the power away from the political class, and I want to return it to the people where it rightly belongs.
I want to give back your government to you because it's been taken by people with money and people with influence. I want to lighten it up a little bit. Name a Republican leader that you think is great. Name one Republican leader that you think is pretty phenomenal in history. Ronald Reagan. Great. Ronald Reagan was an effective leader, the great communicator. He did bring a nation back together when we were in the doldrums, we were very down and out. Name one Democratic leader that you think was also very effective, very good. FDR got us through the war, the war, well, it wasn't the war to end all wars, but World War II, when our sons and daughters were at the greatest risk in our history. FDR was an amazing leader, and he started to build what is now the great expansion of America, the great economy that we saw under Eisenhower and other leaders. My idea that I want you to understand is that if you took Ronald Reagan today, and if you took FDR today, they would not be able to be effective in Congress, because Congress is so deeply divided. It is so deeply divided along partisan lines that even the great communicator, Ronald Reagan, and the great leader of the free world, FDR, couldn't find common ground, because that common ground has been stretched so thin, and the aisle is so wide, that they don't have a common language anymore. And so, when we continue to send the same kind of politicians who run the same kind of campaigns with the same kind of tired ideas, even if they're great, even if Roger Marshall is Ronald Reagan incarnate, he won't have the credibility to reach across the aisle and bring a single Democrat to meaningful legislation. The Farm Bill is due in 2 years. It took 3 years for the last one to be done. It should be done by next year, but it won't, because the Republicans are intransigent and they will not talk to the Democrats. And forgive me, but the Democrats are equally intransigent and they will not talk to the Republicans, but they will talk to their donors. They will talk to the lobbyists. They will spend lots of time talking to lobbyists, but they will not talk to each other. That has taken your power away from you. And the only way to get it back is to send people, not just myself, but people who are not only willing to go and reach across the aisle, but literally be in the aisle, to literally go and eschew the partisan rhetoric and say, I am not with you, and I am not with you, I am with you. Tonight, I'm here with you. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm not going to D.C. to represent the Republican Party, and I'm sure not going to represent the Democratic Party. I'm going to represent you, the American people. I can only do that by going there independent of party. It's the only way, ladies and gentlemen. I'm certain of that. My goal is to go there, win as an independent, and I will build a caucus That's the way things get done in D.C. now. You've got to build a caucus. Your Tea Party caucus, your Freedom Caucus. I'm going to build the American People's Caucus. And I'm going to draw 25 of the best Republican leaders that I can find. And I'm going to draw 25 of the best Democratic leaders that I can find. And now I've got 50 people that want to do their jobs. And I have to believe that there are at least 50 people of the 435 members that want to do their jobs, that want to serve you. I'm going to bring them together, bipartisan, together, and we're going to speak a common language. We will stop bad legislation. The Affordable Care Act was passed on partisan lines, and that's why it's dead on arrival. We will stop bad defense policies. We've been occupying the Middle East for 15 years. Your sons and daughters are expected to go and serve over there. I served over there. No more. If my caucus can stop that, if we can stop the spending, and we can work with the generals to have good defense policy, we'll do that. The only way is to build this caucus of bipartisan leaders who speak a common language and listen to a common people, you, the American people. And no Republican can do that, and no Democrat can do that, because they can't anymore. Only we can. And that's why I want your vote, that's why I'm here tonight, and that's what I'm promising that I'll do for you.